Hello, this is Pastor Kevin from Lighthouse Community Church, PK, as some of you may know me. If you're watching this on video, you can see I'm decked out in my red and my Carlisle hat because later today, I'm going to go see my oldest son Mitchell's football game, and I get to do the chain gang for that. And it's going to be pretty warm out today, so I'm just in shorts and a t-shirt. But yeah, I want to say first about that. As a parent, if you're a parent, that when you're cheering your kids on, it's fun, and especially when they're doing well. And Mitchell, for different reasons, didn't play last year, didn't go the way he wanted to. He had injury, all that kind of stuff. Last year for football, and he gets to this year kind of play with all of his buddies. He's got some good coaches. And he's playing running back for the first time, and he's loving it and doing awesome. He scores like 3 touchdowns a game, gets lots of tackles on defense, got a couple interceptions. So, super proud dad, fun to brag about it. Just, he's fun to watch too. He's like James, my youngest, he's really quick. And so when he gets to the outside, he just takes off. James is the same way. He's playing flag football right now. And if he gets to the sideline, he's gone. Or if a kid on another team starts a long run, James will chase him down usually. So anyways, that's just, part of my day here. But I do apologize. It's been a little while since I've updated this podcast. My intent over the summer when I had more time was to do 2, 3 a week, and then kind of fall hit, a little busier, back on schedule, kids, ministry, life in general. I do intend to do this more often, but just kind of the way it's worked out. So today, I'm not going to pick a specific topic. I've got a couple of things I want to talk about, kind of catch up on. And so that's where I'm going to go. Just a couple of things here and there that I've been doing about the church, about life, and some good theology topics. So first thing I want to update you guys on is just, my own personal life. I like to read books. I like to watch some good shows, good movies, good podcasts. And I tend to go through these phases sometimes of like things I get into. I'll get into one kind of thing for a few weeks or a month or a few months. And so right now I've been into fiction books. I was reading a lot of more theology books in the summer. And now I've kind of transferred over to just reading some good fiction books. And it kind of started with a guy at our church whose name is Andrew Knock. And he started writing some books this last year, and he has a plan to kind of write 3 books a year and then kind of turn into a trilogy with each of those 3 books. And he goes by the pseudonym A.K. Bryce. And so he wrote a book earlier this year, and it came out in paperback called Wyvern's Plague. And so I picked it up just thinking, man, it's really kind of fun to read one of my church people's books. And it kind of fit a lot of my interests in fiction reading. It's more fantasy. It's pretty clean. I like kind of fantasy, science fiction. If it's just a normal story, I get bored. If it's got some sort of twist of time or something else. If it gets too crazy weird, it loses me too. But some sort of sweet spot for me of kind of a realism in science fiction seems believable. I loved Michael Crichton books like Jurassic Park, some of those. But again, some of his stuff gets a little bit too much. That's the one thing I really wish we had with books. Maybe you can tell me. I love, like with TV and movies, there's things like IMDb or Plugged In that if some show or movie has a lot of bad language, it's overly graphic, sex scenes, whatever, you can go to those things and it'll tell you where they are, how many they are, all that. There's been shows I really wanted to watch on whatever streaming platform, and I go and it's like, it's way too much of this graphic stuff I don't want to get into. But with books, I haven't found that really of good content watches for books. And I might pick a book up, a fiction book, and I'm 100 pages into it, it's really something I enjoy, and then it makes this weird graphic twist. For me, if it's usually like a too much sensual, I just have to stop, and it's hard because I'm into a book and then I'm reading it and all that. But anyways, I found these books to be really good, and so he had a second book that came out, and I got him Kindle this time. The second book was called The Eye of the Moon. First book was more about dragons, kind of medieval times-esque. Second book was more about, you'd say, superpowers, magic, kind of following two storylines. I think he's a good author. I think he does a great job, I've seen, with just two stories, making two worlds for either book on their own. That world building, really good at character developments. You care about these characters. Twists here and there of things of not what they seemed or unexpected. So yeah, I'm excited. He's got a third book coming out, I think, in December. So if you're interested at all, Lighthouse or anybody that's listening to this, A.K. Bryce, you can find him on Amazon, other places too. So I finished those two, and I've picked up another book. So I think that the guy's last name is Riddle. He does some kind of science fiction books. I've read one of his books before, reading it now, and I've been listening to, watching the Rings of Power, Lord of the Rings. I know some of you hate that, don't like those. I'm a Lord of the Rings fan. I like the books, I like the movies, and so I'm not too picky on some of those things. I think I'm going to pick up the Silmarillion. I've never read that. I've heard it's harder, but maybe goes along with this series right now, the Rings of Power. So yeah, probably be interested to hear from you guys what fiction books you've read, especially in science fiction, fantasy, that you found to be really interesting or good or thought-provoking. For me, it doesn't need to be like a Christian science fiction or Christian fantasy or Christian book per se. I do have one trilogy I really like called The Lamb Among the Stars. It takes a post-millennial view of things getting better and better and better and better, and then right at the very end, it kind of gets worse, and then Jesus comes back. But I've really enjoyed reading that. I've read it, I think, twice or three times over the years. There's a few of those books, like Lord of the Rings, Chronicles of Narnia, probably Jurassic Park, that I'll kind of come back to, that I like to read good fiction books, The Hobbit, and read them multiple times. But yeah, I'd be curious from you guys what books you guys read fiction-wise, or if you have maybe podcasts that are fiction or audiobooks. I kind of that too, audiobooks. I've done more theology audiobooks than anything else. But the next thing I was going to talk about too is deep friendships. Deep friendships for us as a church is one of our values. As we talk about kind of vertical and horizontal values, we try to pick some values for us as a church that just like made sense. This is who we are. This is what we do naturally. And Lighthouse has always had this, the sense of community and caring, love for each other. It's painful when there's parting or death or leaving, moving. I love this church because of that. And I love these people here. So deep friendships is one of the things we said we want to value and continue in. For my own life, deep friendships have been one of those things I keep longing for. And I felt like as I've gotten older, have gotten better at it, and God has given me better friends too. You know, growing up, I had always kind of groups of 4 friends. Elementary school was Scott, Eitan, Eric, and myself. High school was Kip, Doug, Adam, and myself. College was Chad, Mike, and Drew, and myself. And seminary, there were 6 of us. And anyways, it just for a lot of my life seemed like that was the routine I got into. And each one of those friendships, I would say, got better as I got older. Finding friends that really cared about me, that prayed for me, that stuck by me, that challenged me, encouraged me. So, a month or so ago, I got to get together with two friends from seminary. I graduated from seminary in 2009, and there were six of us that went through seminary together. We had a Kern scholarship. It was a full ride scholarship for seminary. And part of the rule of having that scholarship was to be in this cohort of six of you for all of seminary to grow together. And we kind of said there were three introverts and three extroverts. Five of the six are pastors right now. I would say all six of us are successful in ministry, still doing ministry of some sorts. Ups and downs for all of us. It's been fun to see. All of us have been married, and just how much it's multiplied with kids and adoptions and fostering and all of those things. But a month or so ago, I got together with two of those guys. One is in Quad Cities and one is in South Dakota. We met up here in Iowa, Doug and Josh. And we just spent 3 days together hanging out in a cabin with no TV. We went to the John Wayne Museum in St. Charles, ate out a lot, prayed together, talked theology, talked family. But I really consider those guys just to be good friends. Talked to them over the years. It kind of came about this gathering because Josh, one of the guys, was kind of half joking with his wife about who would you call if I died? Who'd be the first person you would talk to? And Josh said he would call me and Doug. And yeah, I was super honored by that. And probably the same, I would call those guys. It's guys like that in your life, women like that in your life that you can call when things are hard or really difficult. I've gotten to hang out with Nick Bailey over the years, this last year especially, camping and fishing and extended time in the Word together, praying together, and just come to really appreciate his encouragement, prayer for me as a pastor, as a friend. I have to be honest that I think when I first met Nick, I was intimidated by him for a number of reasons of my own insecurities, kind of coming out of COVID and things like that. And I think Nick would say he's changed a lot as a person too, but he's come to be a great friend. And I've had some friendships over the years too that have just kind of broken down. There's one that I have that it still kind of hurts. Friend I got really close to and shared some deep things with. He shared some deep things with me, and it just kind of fizzled. And I think part of that's my fault, part of that's their fault. But man, we're just made as people, as human beings, to have close friendships and relationships. And I still struggle with that last one. I don't know sometimes if I should reach out or do something different or not. It seems like it's probably gone the distance it should and could have and has ended at this point, what it has been. But last thing I want to talk about was our church, Lighthouse. Talking with Nick, we were camping. He was telling me that, how I think sad he would be if I ever left. And I'm not saying that I'm leaving or any of that. I've had ups and downs at Lighthouse here, and it's been a ride with COVID and things like that. But I would say the last couple of years have been just an amazing time of ministry and time for my family and pastoring, and so super just happy, feel blessed, feel like God is working. I still believe he's going to do amazing things this next year at Lighthouse, and it gives me goosebumps. And so I'm happy to be at Lighthouse and be the pastor here and where God has me. And there's times when it's hard or get bored or the same old or what, but God is good and he continually provides I'm happy where Lighthouse is at right now. I think we have a combination of people that are just really committed to the church. A lot of new people that are committing, even like our elders right now. Two of our elders are rolling off after 6 years of eldering, which is amazing. From where we were 6 years ago to here, and what God has brought us through, His faithfulness, that we have 2, maybe 4 potential men to be elders now coming on is really exciting for me to think about. Men stepping up, and guys that probably 6 years ago were not ready for it or wouldn't even thought about it. But man, it's been fun to see God work on those guys' lives and eldering. And I've really enjoyed preaching the book of Romans this last year. I love preaching through books of the Bible. It encourages me, keeps me grounded. I hope it does the same for you. And I always like going to new stuff, and I threw it out there for, I think it's the October 13th. I kind of built in a 1-week break. So if you have ideas, things you want me to preach on for that 1 week, I'd love to hear it. One of the things that we try to do every once in a while, we call it stratop. It's a word that is made up, but my friend Tom Clegg, my mentor coach for a while, brought us as a leadership group through this thing called stratop. And now we continued it on our own. And we just take some leaders, elders, staff, volunteers, and just kind of assess ourselves, think of the future. So this last summer we did that again, and we kind of boil it down to 4 things that we want to focus on. And these 4 things are not like we're going to only do these 4 and not the rest of church ministry. There are things that we see that are maybe lacking right now that we want to grow in or encourage, grow these ministries. So number 1, we thought of high school ministry. The years that I've been here, we've had some great high school groups. We've had up and down. I've stepped in at times to do high school ministry, and we find ourselves kind of in a lull of attendance for youth group. We get, a handful of kids that'll come Sunday morning, or part of a family that comes to church, but to get them engaged in more than that has been difficult. And Josh is our high school pastor this last year, and I think he's done a good job for what he's had, but there's plenty of growth and things to be done beyond this. So high school ministry, we wanted to kind of assess Josh, any more leaders coming in, how do we reach out to other churches, what do they do, things like that. So if you're interested in high school ministry, not even like teaching kids, but just being a part of it, sharing ideas and brainstorm, we'd love to get you involved with that. Men's ministry. We have a great Sunday morning Bible study. Nick Bailey leads that. We have a number of men that are committed to that. But we have a lot more men in our church that we want to reach out to. We want to lead, encourage. It's often said that if you get a kid to, come to your ministry, that's maybe where it stops. If you get a mom to come, they'll probably bring their kids. If you get a dad to come, they'll bring the whole family. There's something about a dad that can affect the whole family. And I think God has given husbands, dads, men with charges, encouragement, leadership roles in the church and at home. And we want them to step up. We want to encourage them to do just that. So we love to provide more events, more Bible studies, get-togethers. There's a retreat in January that I've just had my heart to go to again at Hidden Acres, to find some guys to go to that with me. So again, if you're interested, that's what we're looking at, our men's ministry, to expand that. A third one is we're calling engagement. We want to help people that have been in our church for years that just come Sunday morning to be more engaged. Or if they're newer, to find easy pathways to serve, get in a small group, one-to-one discipleship, something beyond just Sunday morning. we use this kind of discipleship pathway idea of kind of, worship, connect, grow, and serve. And a lot of times people just kind of get stuck at worship. And so if they can get that next place of serving or connecting, growing in small group, something else, we want to help them to do that. And if that's you, we want to help you to do that. And so we have a team that's going to think through some of those pathways, different leaders, people who can be a part to do that. And the final one that I'm taking on is we're calling auxiliary income. This is an issue that we've seen now for years at our church, that giving has just kind of been on a downward trend. And there's been some reasons in our culture for that in terms of COVID, price of living, gas, groceries going up. We've had church conflict. And so when that happens and people leave, giving goes down. And so we've had to make some hard choices, like staff choices. And so all of that has led into this, but we've seen this kind of downward trend. And, it seems like a majority of people at our church don't, and maybe can't tithe, give a 10% of their income to church. And so the auxiliary income team is hoping to look at, are there ways we can help supplement our giving? I would still encourage people to give generously, to tithe, but are there ways with our back property? Maybe it's starting a daycare, maybe it's hosting events like a vendor fair, that we can help sustain our budget to do the things that we feel like God has called us to do. I grew up going to church, and I grew up, I think, just giving, tithing naturally. I mean, it's just part of, I think, my faith and life, is it just, some things came easier to me. And it was like, put in my life early, do this. Okay, I did it and never stopped. And my wife was the same way. And so it helped when we got married, just to kind of put it into our budget. Now, we're not always good at doing a budget. We have a budget, but then we don't always categorize it and do it in the month. We get behind and don't, and we don't always like doing money stuff. And so I understand if that's you don't like doing a budget or whatever. We've just gone to automatic payments, and that helps us. But it's something I don't like talking about. I don't like money. One, because it just kind of, I think, comes naturally to me. And so it's like, I don't want to guilt people or make them feel like we're a money church or that. But it is a discipleship issue. I think God is very concerned and deals with a lot of texts that talk about money in the Bible. And so if we're going to be a church that is healthy, that it does discipleship, that grows, affects our community and our global partners, and yeah, I just got a phone call like earlier today about a person looking for an ASL translator. I mean, I'd love to be able to provide that. We don't have that. Yeah, and so I don't want to take things away. I don't want to like give you the hard talk, but it's kind of where we're at pretty soon. We've just seen giving go down. And so come talk to me. If you have a ability that you can give some, more, a lot, we would really appreciate it. And yeah, I think it'd go a long way toward your own discipleship and growth in being a Christian. So yeah, those 4 areas: high school, men, engagement, and auxiliary income, I'll focus on growing this next year. And we'll have more things too that we'll kind of keep doing and enjoy and be a part of. So I hope we'll do this kind of again more often. Again, sorry that it took so long, but love you guys. It is fun to do this, talk to you, kind of engage during the week. So have a great week. See you next time. This is PK.